Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to do a weekly metagame breakdown for the standard best of 3 traditional standard format on MTG Arena. We're going to look at the best decks, the best meta decks, kind of tier list, seeing what decks can take you to Mythic rank, get you a high finish, and are using some new cards from Avatar in the mix. So we're going to get the data from UntappedGG, what you see on the screen. Companion tool tracks your own win rates, aggregates with other users, and pulls in a whole bunch of stats. We'll also look at a couple MTG O deck lists. There's a big Japanese tournament, so we'll take a look at some decks from there as well, and kind of intertwine everything. Some of them are flowing into the Untapped data as well, so it gives us a nice, people are playing them on the ladder basically. If you want to use Untapped, link is in the video description. I did make a comment in the best of 1 video. I'm doing a giveaway for 10 Untapped premium codes. So if you want to hop over to the best of 1 video I posted yesterday, drop a comment with your favorite card. I'm going to be randomly selecting 10 winners for Untapped premium for a month subscription for free. Thanks to the folks there. So we'll get that going. And then lastly, before we jump into it, I'm 22 subs away from 20,000. So if you haven't subbed, it's free, easy, helps out the channel, greatly appreciated. So as you're going into the video description to get the deck list, you can also hit that sub button, helps out the channel, and it costs you nothing. So let's jump into it. Popularity of the day. So VV was banned, Profs was banned, and Screaming Nemesis was banned. We had Avatar dropping. And Simic Aggro has taken the slot of most played deck from Diamond Mythic rank at 23%. Out of curiosity, if we jump up, Simic Aggro is 22% in the high bracket of Mythic. And if we drop down, Simic Aggro is about 20%. So still quite high in terms of representation. The next highest played deck is at 6% with Dimir Midrange, Jeskai Control at 3, Dimir Reanimator, the Cavero Superior Spider-Man decks at 2.6. So we're going to jump into it. We got 23,000 matches played. For decks that are no new cards, I'm going to kind of go over them pretty quick and then kind of spend some time on the decks that either got updated cards or new decks altogether. So the highest win rate right now is 4-color control, 72%. So this is Jeskai Green as opposed to Jeskai Black. I know Ali Eldrazi was playing this deck quite a bit. It's basically a Songcrafter Mage. Jeskai version, so acting as its best version of Snapcaster Mage. You also have Ancient Cornucopia, which can help you gain some life, also fixes your color. You're basically playing top-end Jeskai Revelation, a whole bunch of interaction, consult, and stock up for card advantage. You have Sweepers and Day of Judgment, which can help you keep up with the aggressive decks. Ultima has a really cool interaction with Earthbend. Any of the lands, now normally they come back, but Ultima ends the turn, so there's nothing that goes on the stack, which is kind of cool. So it's a way to kind of Armageddon your opponent that way there. Space Time for the slower decks, you can just mill out your opponent. Curse Recording and the value matches just gives you extra casts of your big stuff. Beza helps you stabilize against aggro. Ancient Vendetta can be used against anything that's looking to do like key cards and like a combo or something like that. Aetherize for aggressive decks. Tashana's activated or triggered abilities. Rest in Peace for Graveyard Hate. Heritage Reclamation can also hit some graveyard stuff. Artifact Enchantment Hate. Slameful Stroke for big stuff. Ghost Vacuum for graveyard hate. Fire Magic for the aggressive decks. One other deck that's doing well is like Jeskai Control on the ladder. Or not on the ladder, on MTGO leagues. So this is a version with some new cards. This one's from Darkbone. They went 5-0 in a recent league. We see 3 copies of Wan Shi Tong Librarian. This card's like $100 here in Canada. It's crazy. I wanted to try it for Legacy. Meringue River Regent and Beza in the main board. You still have your consults, Jeskai Revelations, you kind of control package, 4 stock up in here along with 4 consults. So just heavy on card advantage along with Wan Chi Tong. Split up as your sweeper in the main. So you're not playing, or you're actually playing Day of Judgment as well. Aang's Iceberg, just another way to have some instant speed, exile, non-land permanents. This can help you. Well, not at instant speed, it's an answer to Kaido, which the deck could sometimes lack with just only 4 copies of Get Lost. Just flexible removal here. So it gives you some value. Elspeth is a win condition. We also have Egna Kella. Draw, discard, just a way to kind of loot through your deck. If you like flood late game or if you need to help find an answer, helps you there. Sideboard, more sweepers, Graveyard Hate, Cryptic Coat for the grindier matchups. Aang, just kind of a tempo element. If your opponent's boarding out removal, you could bring it in. Ral for the grindier games. Beza helps you stabilize. Control mirrors, you have River Churn Monument. Fire Magic is sweepers. Grindier games, you have more Wanshi Tongs and Negate. So Simic Aggro, most played deck, 72%. There's a couple like minor variations in terms of how this deck gets built. But at its core, you are using Badger Mole, probably the breakout card from the set, seeing play in a lot of different strategies. Modern Legacy, in Legacy you can like reoccur Wastelands and Urza Sagas. So 2 mana, Earthbends 1, and then your Mana Dorks tap for an extra mana. So Gene Pollinator, Llanowar Elf helps you just explode in terms of mana. You have Drunith or Jackal Genius Geneticist that lets you create copies of stuff. You can mess around with the amount of counters on it to copy stuff, thanks to Innkeeper's Talent, or Boroid just anthems your team. You have Azure Beastbinder that can help lock down certain activated abilities, and then you have Sabsunin on the top end that allows you to just have an indestructible threat with Ouroboros or Innkeeper's Talent can help you again control, so you can get that attack trigger on there. And then just tempo elements, Flood Pit's Drowner, you have Pop Patch Recruit to go wide, Tyvar's pseudo indestructible as well in the deck, Repulsive Mutation as a counter. Notably, there's multiple, like you have to click multiple things on this to do the counter, so just be mindful as you're going through the interface. Tishana has activated her triggered abilities, Reclamation State, Artifact Enchantment Hate, Repulsive Mutation against sweeper decks, big mana decks, Keen-Eye Curator for Graveyard Hate, Unable to Scream, just as kind of removal in this. You also have Dragon Sniper, which is pretty solid in the mirrors, since it trades, lets you go offense, defense, and trades with bigger stuff. Ghost Vacuum for Graveyard Hate. We have a mono green version at 67, so similar elements. We have Badger Mole, you have main board, Dragon Sniper, Goldvein Hydra in here, your ramp package, Nature's Rhythm, pump all that mana into it, find your Ouroboros or a Craterhoof Behemoth, kind of like your green sun for your big thing. Using both Hunter's Talent and Innkeeper's Talent, Hunters for fight. Fierce Empath, another way to tutor up your Craterhoof, and then Sentinel just for kind of value plays. Grindier matchups, Artifact Enchantment Hate, you have Vivian, Heritage Reclamation, Artifact Enchantment Hate, against things that kind of gumming up the board. Against Control, you have Frenzied Baloth, Moldatter for blue-black decks, and then Dragon Sniper for the aggressive decks. Dimir Midrange, 67%, so pretty stock. It's basically throw a bunch of removal and then try to draw cards with like the Curiosity package. We're seeing Stab, Tragic Trajectory in the main, Bitter Triumph, Long Goodbye, Shoot the Sheriff, Strategic Betrayal. Just all the kind of 1 to 2 mana interaction spells, Cecil, Spyglass Siren, Azure's Beastbinder, Flood Pit's Drowner, tempo positive creatures. It's doing a split now of 3 Preachers, 1 Karsi, 2 Tishanas. So kind of mixing up the 3 drops for different things. Preacher helps stabilize against aggro, along with Karsi. Tishana can be a tricky card. Nice against even like Ouroboros. If the trigger goes on the stack, you can lock it down. Curiosity refills your hand, along with 1 Elegy Acolyte, which is just kind of the I want to be as good as Curiosity, but not quite. And then some Kaidos on the top end. Deadly Cover Up for the Go Wide decks. Kaido against Control. Tishana, like we mentioned. Karsi against aggro decks. Faebloom Trick against the Mirror. Strategic Betrayal as kind of an edict with Graveyard Hate, negate cheap counters, Long Goodbye, Stab, just more cheap removal, 0 Point Ballad for the Go Wide decks, Duress for Hand Hate, Annul for Artifacts Enchantments. We have then Selesnya Cage, 67%. So this deck here, we've had it before, Collector's Cage into kind of your payoffs. Now adding Badger Mole gives you 2 bodies, which is nice. You have the Gear Hulk package in here that can get you removal in Duskrow's Reliquary, Meltstrider's Resolve. Nurturing Pixie lets you reset. You have Phoenix Down, which can be used to reanimate the Bright Glass Gear Hulk if it dies. And then your kind of hits are things you can normally cast, but just leads to more counters, stuff like that. Surik against like Dimir, heavy targeted removal deck, Sharpshooter, Artifact Enchantment Hate. Haven Interrupter is a sweeper hate. Sheltered has removal against the aggressive decks. Heritage Reclamation, Artifact Enchantment, Graveyard Hate, Graveyard Hate, Graveyard Hate. Insidious Fungus is another way to deal with artifacts enchantments. Duskrow's Reliquary as removal, and then Basilisk Color against the aggressive decks. 4-color Reanimator, so this is the Kavero deck. This one's at 64%. We're not going to spend too much time here, but basically put cards into graveyard. Notably, Harbinger of the Last Gift. Kavero becomes a copy of Harbinger. When it enters, you get the cast trigger, you get to reanimate everything from your graveyard, ping them to death with Terror of the Peaks, or just have a really strong board of strong creatures. Oblivious Bookworm's the most recent card added, just helps you kind of fuel your graveyard as well. Some Quantum Riddlers, Swarmyard, Terratitis Sweepers, pretty stock list. This has been around pre, so like I said, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but it's still putting up results if you're still building up your collection of avatar cards. So we have Dimir Control. This is Dimir Bounce. This placed, I believe, second, or at least top 8 in the Japanese tournament. So it's Dimir Bounce, built around some of the new cards, Boomerang Basics. So this allows you to return. It's basically an unsummon for any non-land permanent. And if you bounce one of your own cards, you get to draw a card. It's effective with things like, obviously, Tiny Bones. We don't have Hopeless Nightmare because of the ban, but resets that, resets Storm Chasers. You're using Entity Tracker as kind of an engine to draw you cards. Then we have a new card in The Legend of Kuruk. First 2 chapters of the saga, scry to draw a card, then you exile it, you flip it, and whenever you cast a spell, you create a colorless spirit token that can't block or be blocked by non-spirits, and then you can waterbend 20. So 20 mana, 20 things tapped, and you can take an extra turn after this one. It's exhaust, so you can only do it once. You can't chain multiple extra turns, but helps you kind of refill your hand and then can be a threat on its own. Against heavy or control decks, like Grindier games, you have Corpse of the Lost, just keep picking it up. You're having stuff leave the battlefield anyways, typically, so just fuels you with some tokens. Strategic Betrayal against like Go Tall decks, Graveyard Hate, Shoot the Sheriff is cheap removal. Caustic Bronco against control decks lets you refill your hand. Disdainful Strokes, cheap counter, 0-point Ballot for Go Wide, and Soul Guide Lantern for Graveyard Hate. We have 4 color allies at 50, we'll call it 58%. So mana base, you got a lot of kind of the dual lands. There are a lot of humans in here, so you can name human. You can name ally in here. So Cavern makes them uncountable. You have Secluded Courtyard. You have Jasmine Dragon Tea that works on allies and also could be a token maker. So lots of ways to kind of have full colors without having to play colors. Going through protection against for another creature, kind of your Selfless Savior effect. You have Earthen Ally, gets +1 for each color among allies. So can a scalable 1-drop, and then you can Earthbend for 7 mana, and then Earthbend 5. Earth King's Lieutenant's like your Thalia's Lieutenant, which is pretty strong. This one has Trample, which is strong because Thalia's Lieutenant can get fairly large, but doesn't have the Trample element. The Great Divide Guide is a mana dork that makes all your allies tap for any color. You have Invasion, so Timeless Reinforcements basically for allies. Soul Pull Voyager, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever this creature or another ally you control enters, you gain 1 life. If it's the second time, you get to draw a card. Aang is kind of a tempo element, lets you reset your own or Selfless Save your opponent. Katara in here doubles up triggers of allies. Appa can be used to kind of protect your stuff, and if you cast stuff from exile, you get some value. Wartime Protesters, 4 mana, 4/4 haste. Whenever an ally you control enters, you put a counter on that creature and gains haste on a turn, so nice kind of top end effect. And then Aang at the Crossroads is like a pseudo collected company, which is pretty nice. And then can flip and then put give you some more value in terms of just animating your lands. Aang for protection against like sweeper decks. You have Boiling Rock Rioter, 3 mana. You can tap an untapped ally. You control, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever it attacks, you may cast an ally spell from among the cards you own from exile. So grind your card and Graveyard Hate. Allies at Last, just fight spell, voice against counter spells, and then against control-ish decks, you have My Scornful Striker, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life. Esper Pixie, so 57%. Pretty stock Pixie list, just kind of highlighting some of the cards. Similar to the blue-black version, we have Boomerang Basics added to it, picks up your own stuff. We have Airbender's Ascension, 2 mana. When it enters, you airbend up to 1 target creature. Whenever a creature enters, you put a counter on it. Then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 more quest counters, you exile up to 1 creature, then return it to your battlefield. So this can reset your pixies and let you pick up stuff, get some value. Cosmo Grand Zenith for kind of cast 2. Aang helps you protect your stuff or counter stuff at flash speed, similar with Appa. Kaido for the grindier matchups, along with Elegy Acolyte. Avatar's Wrath, just powerful sweeper. Exile your so you choose up to 1 target creature, then airbend all other creatures, and then your opponent can't cast them for the next turn. Stock up for the grindier matchup, sheltered for aggressive decks. Rest in peace for Graveyard Hate. No more lies against sweepers. When some of your removal just when you're like momentum breakers or nowhere to runs just don't really line up with your opponent's stuff. Ghost Vacuum and then Authority for the aggressive decks. So Gruul Delirium won the Japanese event, and bittersweet because I still have this deck in paper after selling out of like Screaming Nemesis and stuff, thankfully before the ban, but just got infinitely more expensive, adding both Badger Mole, Cub, and Ouroboros to the deck. So we still have like the Delirium package, Patchwork Beastie, FOMO, Breakout to haste out some stuff, but a little bit lower on curve. You have 1 Keen Eye as opposed to 4. You have 1 Wildfire Wicker Folk. In terms of breakout hits, Force 8, 12, 16, 18. So you do have a chance to kind of whiff on some stuff. So it's not as consistent. Violent Urge double strikes your team. Nature's Rhythm can help you find some of your big stuff, thanks to Badger Mole helping you to ramp. Nova Hellkite or Borid on the top end. You can also, what's cool is if you Badger Mole the Restless Ridgeline, it still gets its ability. So you get to attack and kind of get that effect without having to animate. The Legend of Roku is actually seeing play in the modern RCs this weekend, getting played in the energy decks. It's a draw 3, you add some mana, and then you exile, and then it just firebends and lets you create dragons. So it kind of fuels itself afterwards. Sunspine Links for the greedier mana basis, Scrap Shooter, Artifact Enchantment Hate, Magebane Lizard against kind of the control-y decks, Lightning Strike as cheap removal, Keen-Eyed Curator, more Graveyard Hate, Fire Magic for the go-wide decks. So we have Izzet Aggro. Some of them are being called Izzet Duelist of the Mind. So there's 2 kind of versions of these Izzet decks. The more creature-dense version, which is this one here. So your Marauding Makos, your Fear of Missing Out, Duelist of the Mind, draw, discard. You have Tiger Seal here. It's a 1 mana 3/3 with Vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, you tap this creature, and then whenever you draw your second card, you untap it. So lots of ways to kind of draw 2 in this deck through looting or stuff like that. Boomerang Basics is another just way to bounce your own things. Frostcliff Siege can haste out your stuff, good with like Warped Riddler. And then you have Roaring Furnace as removal, Steaming Sauna to keep fueling your hand. More removal in Roaring Furnace, Frostcliff, good against like the control decks, heavy removal, Pyroclasm, Obliterating Bolt of Braid, Torch Tower, Fire Magic, just a lot of cheap removal in here. Disdainful Stroke, Spell Pierces, cheap counters, along with Detect Intrusion or Spider Sense, counter instant sorcery or triggered ability, and then some Graveyard Hate and Ghost Vacuum and Soul Guide Lantern. There's that version, and then there's also the kind of bigger version. They call it Izzet Aggro, but it's kind of like Izzet Control. So it's just playing Quantum Riddler and Thundertrap Trainer. As your creatures, you are playing the Frostcliff Siege, and then just a lot more removal in here. Torches, you have counters and get outs, Obliterating Bolt to main. Splash Portal can bounce both your Thundertrap Trainer and your Quantum Riddler for value, so you can warp it and then splash it, portal it to get it back. So 3 mana, you get Quantum Riddler plus 2 cards. Ral, Crackling Wit in here as well. It's more sweepers, Spider Sense like we mentioned, pretty close Enduring Curiosity in the grindier matchups, just a bunch of counters and removal basically in the sideboard. And then lastly, so this is the Bant combo deck. It's the Elf Kicker Meowtic on Twitch is 66 and 14 with this, number 2 Mythic with the list. Was watching last night, couldn't break to number 1, but this deck is very click intensive, but an infinite combo. So how it works, again, Badger Mole is life. Dock Orlock makes it so cards you cast from exile cost 2 less. So if you airbend something, it costs 0 mana with Dock or Lockout. So the combination of Ang, Appa, and then just anything else basically lets you Ang your Appa, then you cast Appa, you exile your Ang, and then you could create a loop with these 2, creating 1/1 tokens. You can then extend it to do like Badger Mole Cubs or stuff like this, because Ang could exile multiple things. Eventually you get to the point where you could get Ang at the crossroads potentially. If you reset this, you can keep finding creatures. If you have 2 Angs out, notably what you need to do is waterbend one of them, and then it becomes the other side, so then you can loop the 2 of them. And then with one of them, you get to exile or bounce your opponent's thing, and then one you bounce your Appa, and then you create the loop that way there. What you're trying to do is usually with Badger Mole, you can animate the land multiple times and then bounce your opponent's board and attack them for lethal that same turn. If you Airbend Bramble Familiar, you can use Fetch Quest for free, so it also helps you dig into the combo. Then you have like Quantum Rulers for the grindier games, Reclamation Sage, Artifact Enchantment Hate, Haven Interrupter against Sweepers, Get Lost, Cheap Removal, Detect Intrusion, Instant Sorcery Hate, Seamrip for small things, and Insidious Fungus as way to deal with artifacts enchantments. Torpor Orb is in the format, so it's something you want to hit. Clarion Conqueror also stops this deck pretty hard, so you're relying on your Get Lost in that case there. So that's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been liking, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.